From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Let's get you right to your headlines here. We got slimmer chances for those mountain thunderstorms today. You know, we may see some of those thunderstorms in southern Oregon work their way into extreme northern Siskiyou County, but for the most part, it's not going to be quite what we saw yesterday in Siskiyou County, especially in the evening hours. We have a slight cooling trend over the next few days. I do expect that here for today and tomorrow before the bigger heat arrives later in the week, and we got to be ready for a hot weekend in store for us. So looking at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, July 8th. Here's what we've got going on here as you're heading out the door this morning. Another mild start to the day. We're talking about 70 degrees in the valley, mainly in the 60s for the higher elevations, and we're going to be starting off the morning with some of that low clouds, the fog along the coast as we are typically seeing here. Having a hard time really burning that fog off, by the way, through the afternoon. There is an area of low pressure spinning just to our south. That's what was responsible for the thunderstorms we did see in Siskiyou County yesterday. But as that shifts to the north, that's going to shift that energy to the north as well. But also as it shifts to the north, our temperatures are going to start to drop as well. So let's take a look at the HRRR forecast model, and this is just one of the forecast models that we look at. And you can see here, it's really not even showing much in the way of cloud cover later this afternoon. Still seeing that fog out along the coast here, but no showers, no thunderstorms, at least based on this particular forecast model through the day today. All right, take a look at your forecast for your Tuesday. Your temperatures are going to be in the low to mid 90s for the valley. Yeah, so we're seeing those temperatures drop a little bit here, mainly in the 80s and 90s for the higher elevations, and we're talking low to mid 60s for the coast here for today. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast, temperature is increasing a little bit tomorrow, but it's really Thursday, Friday, this weekend that we're really going to notice that bump up in our temperatures. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast for the coast, inland and for Trinity County. Temperatures also staying cooler, if you will, through at least tomorrow before we see those temperatures increase, especially inland and for Trinity County. Obviously not really feeling the impacts of that heat wave as we go along the coast. And for Siskiyou, Modoc County, the eastern mountains, you can see temperatures also staying down through Wednesday before they really start to ramp back up, especially by Friday through the weekend. And that'll probably continue through, if not early next week, through most of next week. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deeper dive here. But before we do that, I do want to remind you there's a free Weather NorCal app. All you have to do is search for Weather NorCal in your app store, and you have access to the free Weather NorCal app. This is a great resource, folks, because it's all about local. It is all about Northern California, and it's a forecast that is not 100% AI generated, meaning I input a lot of the numbers that go into the app. It's the same forecast you're going to see here on the website, on the 24-hour streaming channel, and right here on the app. It's all consistent. All right, let's take a look at your fire weather forecast, sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service. Taking a look at the fire tracker and where the fires are and the latest information that's coming in. And most of this information is coming in from yesterday evening, last night. The green fire, as of yesterday at about 11:53 p.m., now reported at a little over 2,000 acres. Unfortunately, 0% containment. You can see that fire perimeter within that area of red. The area of red, by the way, that you see here, that is the satellite detecting any kind of activity here from the fire in the last 12 hours or so. So we certainly have seen some recent activity there. Also taking a look at the horse fire. We do have the fire perimeter is right here, that red. So that's not necessarily satellite detected activity, because the earliest we've seen here is this yellow color here. So that's about 3 to 4 days since we've seen any activity at least being detected by the satellite image. 385 acres now up to 80% containment. That's as of yesterday at 5:30 p.m. The Helena fire, there you can see the fire perimeter right there. That's the red, but the yellow indicating 3 to 4 days old since the satellite has detected any activity here. We are at 116 acres there at 60% containment. Let's take you up to the north, and there you can see that big blob of red right here. That's some of the recent activity that's been detected, at least for the Butler fire. And as of 9:19 last night, 507 acres, 0% containment. There's the jacket fire. This is actually just the fire perimeter, so there has been no recent activity that's been detected by the satellite, but it has bumped up to about 50 acres. Yesterday it was about 48, and now up to 5% containment. And a fire we're also tracking here is the red fire. This is in southeastern portions of Del Norte County. As of yesterday at 9:04 p.m., 27 acres with 0% containment. And the Summit fire, as you can see here, as of yesterday at about 11:43 p.m., 395 acres and 0% containment. Now, as you know, we take a look at that smoke that we've got out there, and I've labeled where most of the smoke plumes are and which fires they're associated with. So as we take you through the morning hours, you can see here, it's going to take a while, but as those winds shift from the south and move northward, it's going to blow most of that smoke to the north. So you can see the bigger plume of smoke coming in from the green fire, working its way into southeastern portions of Siskiyou County, western Siskiyou County with the Butler Summit fire. That's where we're seeing most of the smoke there, but even the red fire pushing some of that smoke off into western portions of Siskiyou County. By the way, as you know, fire information can change rapidly. In fact, by the time you're watching this, there may have been a new update on the fires that I just reported. So it's imperative, if you're really keeping a close eye on things, that you do everything you can. Just go to weathernorcal.com. It's really easy. You go to weathernorcal.com, you click on the fire danger section, and you can get all the information you need, including the latest on the acreage, the containment, any kind of containment that we do have, when the latest report was. Check it all out at weathernorcal.com. All right, now we take a look at those winds, right? And the winds are something we've got to watch closely. Now, we don't really have anything major going on, but they do pick up and they will begin to elevate that fire weather risk coming in from the south for the valley, as well as central Siskiyou County, and a little breezy, gusty, if you will, off in the eastern mountains. Those winds die down by tonight and tomorrow morning. Now, we will see them pick up a little bit for some of the higher elevations, but you can see even for the valley, really not all that bad. But unfortunately, it does look like by Thursday, now we're going to be looking at more of a northerly wind. And as you know, the north winds are not our favorite, because that's typically when we see things dry out even more, and especially when we do start to see those temperatures increase by the end of the week around Thursday. That's probably going to dry things out even more and elevate that fire weather risk even more as well. You take a look at that fire weather risk here for today. You can see we're in that moderate to high range, nothing unusual, and we're also seeing those humidity levels in the single digits and low teens for the valley. All right, let's take you into your Wednesday, and there you can see your fire weather risk is going to be mainly within that moderate range. You can see it gets a little bit better, not quite as bad, but as mentioned, especially as those winds shift more from the north in the valley, I do anticipate we'll be looking at higher fire weather risk by the time we get into Thursday. Not to mention the fact that the heat is also going to really help to elevate that as well. A little bit of a trough of low pressure right here. That's going to stay to our north. You can't see it too clearly, but you see these clouds. So we've got an area of low pressure that's been spinning over just to the west of San Francisco here yesterday. The flow around that low helped to produce those showers and thunderstorms that we did see in mainly Siskiyou and Modoc County yesterday, especially in the evening hours. That, of course, dissipated. But that low pressure system is shifting northward through the day today, so I don't anticipate any thunderstorms. And you can't really see that spin in the atmosphere, but you can when you look at the satellite image, or excuse me, the water vapor, right? So yesterday, that area of low pressure that you see right here, the center of it was actually down here. So it is shifting northward. So what it's going to do is help to draw in a little bit more of that drier air, and the chances for thunderstorms are going to be a bit more difficult. And the energy associated with that is shifting northward as well. So let's take a look at Futurecast. You can see having a hard time burning off that fog, but you know, we are seeing some clouds developing, as you can see here out towards northern Siskiyou County. If you see a stray thunderstorm pop up later this afternoon or especially this evening, don't be surprised, but that's going to be mainly in extreme northern Siskiyou County. So most likely even Wairika could dodge a lot of these storms, but Doris, Hornbrook, for example, could be looking at some of those thunderstorms. Then we go into Wednesday morning. We're dry. We're seeing some clouds come in because as that area of low pressure kind of shifts to the north and east, we're going to get more of that flow coming in from northwest down to south and east. And it will bring us some clouds at the very least. And some of the models do want to pick up on maybe a little bit of activity out towards places like Modoc County for your Wednesday afternoon. And then by Thursday, it looks like we're going to be looking at mainly clear skies and even clearing things out here for the coast. So I wanted to show you that the Storm Prediction Center is at least picking up on that potential here for tomorrow in Modoc County. But again, don't count on much, if anything. Warmer than normal conditions. Hey, no shocker there, right? We're talking about a warming trend. So this is that area of low pressure I was talking about. Yesterday, the flow around that low helped to bring in some of those thunderstorms in extreme northern California yesterday. But as this shifts northward, it shifts that energy to the north as well. And that's what I was talking about. The chances for thunderstorms do diminish. But as this area of low pressure kind of opens up and weakens, it's going to keep our temperatures at bay still on Wednesday. But we could see some of those thunderstorms, as I mentioned, maybe work their way into parts of Modoc County by Wednesday. But at this point, I'm going to keep it out of the forecast. In the meantime, high pressure here over the desert southwest and high pressure over the eastern Pacific. Those two will eventually just join forces, if you will, and give us some warmer temperatures, significantly warmer by Thursday, Friday, through the weekend. You see right here a broad ridge of high pressure that we have in place. That's going to be the source for the heat, and two main sources are going to be from the desert southwest, working its way into Southern California by Saturday, and this area of high pressure right here. Now you see these little dips in here, these little disturbances that kind of keep those temperatures at check a little bit, but not by much. You can see this dip in the jet stream right here. Once again, it's kind of impeding some of that heat, especially off to our east, but we still have this ridge of high pressure over the eastern Pacific that is going to keep those temperatures fairly hot. So you can see here, looking at your 10-day trend here, at least for the valley, for Redding in particular, we're talking about temperatures dropping today, a little bit warmer for your Wednesday, and then you see how they level out around 103 to 106 to even 108 possibly by the end of next week. So it's getting a lot hotter out there, and we're seeing these longer stretches of 100 plus degree temperatures. Typical though in July and even August, right? So we take a look at those lake levels, and if you're heading out to the lake to cool off, well, it looks like the lakes are nice and full for you to enjoy them. So no big changes there. Wave heights, as you can see here, are fairly low, so no small craft advisories, but there will be some of that patchy dense fog out there. So just be aware of that today and most likely even tomorrow. And you'll see that in the marine forecast. Those winds from the southwest at 5 knots, waves from the northwest at 3 feet at 7 seconds. There's your high and your low tide, and that patchy dense fog you will see, especially this morning. All right, let's take a look at your neighborhood forecast, starting off with Trinity County. Those temperatures are going to be in the low 90s for most of us. Some of the cooler spots like Mad River, upper 70s to 80s as you head into southern Trinity County. Take you out to the coast, temperatures mid 60s for the next 7 days, give or take, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the 80s for the inland areas, although places like Orleans about 91, 94 in Willow Creek. Temperatures are still dropping on Wednesday before creeping back up. By Friday through the weekend, you're in the triple digits for many of the inland areas. For Siskiyou County, it's going to be a hot day today, especially out towards the Highway 96 corridor, the I-5 corridor. Temperatures in the low to mid 90s for your daytime highs. Notice I don't have any thunderstorms for your Tuesday forecast, but we could see that slight chance in extreme northern portions of Siskiyou County, but otherwise dry. Dry also for Modoc County. Temperatures upper 80s to about 90 degrees for some of the warmer spots today, like El Turris with a high of 91. Your eastern mountains neighborhood forecast, your temperature should be in the 80s and 90s. One of the cooler spots will be in Mineral at about 79. Viola 75. 85 for Paradise and Steubenville, about 92 degrees. Here's your valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Temperatures in the low 90s, 92 degrees for Corning, 91 for Hamilton City, and 91 degrees in Willows. All right, here's your 7-day forecast for Chico. Your temperatures are in the mid-90s for Wednesday, in triple digits return on Thursday, and they stick around, just kind of hovering between 103 to 104. 102 to 104, that is. Your valley neighborhood forecast to the north, about 90 for Lakehead and Whiskeytown, 95 for the city of Shasta Lake and Redding. Red Bluff a high today of about 93 degrees. And then there's that increase in those temperatures, as you can clearly see in your 7-day forecast. 105 for Thursday for Redding, 108. And then just kind of hovering around the 106 to 107 throughout the weekend and into early next week. All right, that is your morning update. We'll see you again this afternoon. Have a great morning.
Construction season is well underway in the North State, and we'd like to remind drivers to slow down around work zones. Keep Caltrans workers safe when they're on the job, and remember to be work zone alert when you see the color orange. Remember to pay attention to signs, merge early, avoid distractions, and don't speed. This message is brought to you by Caltrans District 2.